before the Second World War happened, obviously people saw that there were all these new technologies like tanks and airplanes and so on. So they were wondering what is going to be the impact of these technologies now that we have them in much greater scale. The British government had estimates of how many casualties there will be from aerial bombardment in the first few weeks of the Second World War, and they expected hundreds of thousands of that casualties. So the idea was that air bombing is basically this unstoppable force. All the major urban centers are going to get bombed. Tons of people will die. Basically, like, we can't have a war because like if there's a war, then it will be a disaster because like we will have this aerial bombardment. Later, it turned out that that was totally wrong. In fact, in all of Britain, there were fewer casualties from air bombing in the entire sort of 6 years of the Second World War than the British government expected in the first few weeks of the war. So why did they get it wrong? For example, it turned out to be really infeasible to bomb cities in daytime because your aircraft would just get shot down.
Yeah.
But then if you tried to bomb at nighttime, then your bombing was really imprecise and only a very small fraction of it actually hit. People also underestimated the extent to which like firefighters and so on could just sort of go around the city and like put out fires from bombs that were falling on structures. They underestimated how economically costly it would be. For each dollar of capital they were destroying in Germany, they were spending like $4 to $5 on the aircraft and fuel and training of the pilots and so on that they were sending in missions. That is a kind of situation where all the planning that you would have done in advance predicated on this assumption of like air bombing is going to be this like nuclear weapons light. I just think we expect the same thing to be true for AI.